That almost looks like a cat.
Oh, sorry, Rijon. I was just trying to find your email.
Oh, no, 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 no problem. I was trying to get this on my laptop, and then I figured that, my laptop has been a, a shit today, so I probably better just to do this on phone, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, no, that's completely fine.
Yeah, now, by the way, my name is not pronounced the way you pronounced it, but we can play a game to get to the right answer if you would like.
Yeah.
Up up to you. Okay. You can opt out if you want. You get three guesses. I will not be offended by any of them. You may ask as many questions as you like. They will not count against said three guesses. And if you get wigged out or want to just be done with it at any point, I'll give you a hint. So
Right. Okay. So I get three questions.
you have three guesses, unlimited questions.
Oh, okay. Um. Okay. Where is the name originated? Is it Swedish or Northern
It
Europe?
is influenced by Norwegian heritage. Good question.
Rijon. So I said Rijon first, didn't I?
I won't count that one.
Rijon. I don't know how else to say it.
Like
Rijon.
I said, nope. I
Right.
won't be offended by. You can go like,
Is it Ryan?
"Ay, ta-da! You got it.
Beauty. So you are on my podcast, Shuaige the podcast.
Shuage. Okay.
Shuaige. It's is I used to work with I used to work at a Chinese bar and I had some new like Chinese friends and on his Instagram he said Shuage on his bio and I was like why does it say Shuage and he said oh it means really handsome. I was like so I thought you know what that's the name of my podcast.
Shuage. All
Shuage.
right. Hey, go with it.
All of my friends oppose against it, but me and my co-host Nathan Evans love it.
Well, if you got a story and you can explain it, I think that's cool, obviously. So
Tuesday. Now, so today we have not really had we've not really had anyone. I've had family members. I have had my lecturer on the podcast, but I've not had someone that no one really knows and anyone who with some good experience behind them on to a podcast to give an interesting story like yourself. That's why you saw me on that app, and you were so. I'm so thankful that you were willing to, come on and everything. And so, Ryan, yourself, explain a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 51-year-old guy living in Charlotte, North Carolina, currently. Um, Looking for gainful employment as the my last gig ended unexpectedly and whatever back in December. So looking for work. I grew up in uh, in the Midwest, Indiana, Terre Haute, Indiana. Pop was a art professor, and thus the creativity in the name. Um, I got the bug for music very early. I attended the laboratory school attached to the university, and my band director, she decided she would play mad scientist with a group of first graders and teach them jazz improvisation at a young age. So she does this. We picked up the cornet and became the cornet kids. About a dozen of us learned how to improvise jazz, one note, two notes, three notes, blues scale, all that kind of stuff. And that took me all the way through college. Basically, I kind of waffled back and forth about what to do in the world, decided to go to college in the Midwest to be a jazz musician.
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, really? You didn't just go to New York, or LA or Nashville? No, no. I went to the Midwest, um, because there are some the teacher, the bass teacher. I'm a bass player, so
Right.
the bass teacher at Bowling Green State University, Jeff Halsey, was a great player, and he had some notable students. It came out of Bowling Green as well, so that kind of got me there. Uh, Studied jazz for 4 years, thinking I was going to be, a jazz musician, whatever it took. Did some recording technology as well, and but met my wife, and things changed.
Oh wow.
So my my professional career kind of got cut short as a musician. I mean, I had been gigging, doing freelance work for a while as a young pup back
Yeah.
in Northwest Ohio. Um, and but no, after I met Debbie, we have went through some trials and tribulations, moved to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati, Ohio, and made a life. And that so got married, first kid, first job in selling radio station TV equipment at a pro audio shop in Cincinnati. Um, and From there, got my entree into corporate America by a contract gig at the information technology help desk at the local energy utility. And this is after a couple, you jobs here and there. But yeah, so 1998, I start working in corporate America at the utility. Um, and that's a 20-year journey from there. But we can talk about I can continue on with that
No, no, it's
story if you like,
okay. What
or we can kind of go
would you
where
say
we're
in the Midwest? You're actually saying it was a bit harder to be because you said you had prospects and goals with jazz. I can see, but was it a bit harder with location? Is that why you talk about New York and stuff?
Well, I mean, just the New York being if you're a jazz musician, you should be in New York or
Yeah.
New York or LA, because that's where LA again being the entertainment industry. One of my peers, classmates, he is working has been working for years as a studio musician in LA.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, jazz musician in New York, but that's just where the scene is. That's where the most of the gigs are. I mean, that there are many ways to make a life as a musician. And
Yeah.
I known then what I know now, I probably would have committed more to being a musician. But as it has come full circle, I am so happy now that I had a grounding in music and an understanding of it and a way to articulate musicianship that has followed me into my career now in corporate IT and hopefully, beyond and into other more interesting things.
So you met your wife when during was it during college?
Yeah, 1992.
And then was it around that
Oh,
time?
91, sorry. We've
So
been married for 30 years, by the way.
that's very nice. Was it around that time that's when you started to go into corporate? Then you just stopped jazz up completely.
There was a moment where um, I had to make a decision whether I was going to be with her through a difficult time in our relationship, or I was going to travel to Chicago for a jazz festival. And I was so angry about it that I wanted to go to this jazz festival and play in the lab band at the festival and do it, but um, but she needed me here, and I wasn't a man enough back then to kind of realize that it, she's more important than going to some festival. Like I get to play a solo in Chicago. Who can cares? She needed me, and it was better for me to be there. So that moment kind of said, well, more important than whatever kind of professional pursuit is going to happen. So yeah, that switched the thought of, maybe after college I'll find a real job, you
Yeah,
know.
I think you're definitely saying when you're saying you're not man enough. I know what you mean. It's about making those decisions. I think I think I'm at that age where like I'm just trying to get myself grounded uh, before, because I'd say that I'm definitely like scared of I'm not scared of getting into like a 9 to 5. I'm already in one kind of thing, even though I'm at uni. I already do work part time, but I would like to ground myself with a podcast, or like you were with your jazz. I'm sure you would have liked to, maybe get to a point where you're earning a decent wage doing something that you love. And that's something that I'm definitely like going for with my journalism, because I did work a 9 to 5 during summer, and it kind of scared me because I felt so numb-minded.
I think it's very interesting that you say just the word wage implies that you are doing someone else's bidding for
Yeah,
them. You are earning a wage as opposed to being an independent journalist or a business person for yourself, like you incorporated, kind of thing. So I, this is we can certainly go there more deeply, but my journey, I was working the salary man's life from 1998 through 2018,
yeah,
and then there's bits after that, and no more. I desire to be an independent, sovereign worker who makes the choices of who and how I play. And I would the sooner you if you got the guts for that and have the stomach for risk, the sooner that realization comes, you know, I
yeah,
wish it had come from me years ago.
yeah. I think I'd like to say that has come because, like you said, it's just, and I'm not saying anyone's bad for doing that. At the end of the day, they're trying to get by and support whoever they need to support in their lives. But I guess while I'm at a point where I just need to make sure I'm okay, I might as well take the biggest risk while there's not so much to subside, or not so much
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah. How old are you, by the way?
I went 21 yesterday.
21 yesterday.
Yesterday, yes.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Um, wow, at 21. So this would have been, 1992. Um, we were engaged to be married in 92. So we got married in 93. So yeah, I was not yet 22 when Debbie and I got married.
Yeah,
So, and Bay, our kid, um, they were born, one child, non-binary, born in 1996, when June of 96, I was, gotta do the math, right? That's 20, yeah, 24.
yeah. And to be honest, that to me at the moment, like having a child is like great. That's scary. Like I couldn't. I'd step up to the plate if it happened, but just like I definitely would not want that at the moment. That's not something that I just like I said, like you said, while I've got this time, I just want to ground myself.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I wouldn't trade the life I have
No,
now. I mean, even all the crap I've been through, and I've been through some real shit, but I wouldn't trade it. Sometimes you think, oh God, boy, if we hadn't been married when I was 21, I could have gone and just done some wild ass stuff, and been an idiot or whatever, and done the jazz thing and really dug into it. But no, I think now looking back,
you
hey, and can't do anything about it anyway, but yeah,
you're grateful for it,
yeah, I am.
which is like the best way to look at it at the end of the day, isn't it? Really. And and like you're saying that being like when you talk about the wage, and now you're saying I can see you giving advice, you wish that you realize that, you're saying to me that you're giving that advice. And what, if you got any like examples, like what was it what's something that you've really suffered from like dealing from a,
Well, this I think this kind of goes into the story I wanted to tell, and because I worked for 20 years from 1998 through 2018 as an employee. First for I was on a contract. I was a temp worker. Really, it wasn't really a contracting firm, a consulting firm. I was a temp worker in the help desk for yeah, well, I don't know, about 6, 8 months. Then I hired on to the utility company, the power company in Cincinnati. Um, 5, 6 years, kind of ran up uh, to seniority in the help desk, and which is the best job in the world for I think for IT to be a help desk worker in a big company. You get to see everything, and you learn all people. So, but anyway, that was me. Help desk for a few years, direct employee. Kind of got to a supervisor level. Still salary, salary from the power company. Then outsourcing happens, so I get sold to one company and I'm still on salary, but again, it's an outsourcing deal. So you kind of sold as a commodity. Your labor is sold as a commodity to be sold back to the company, right? So I was um, a consultant with this one company, and then another merger happens with the power company. So the company I was with, they weren't on the nice list for the new company. So I got sold again back to IBM. So in 2005, I'm still on salary for IBM working at the power company. And then for the next 13 years, I'm with IBM. And IBM, great company, huge land of opportunity if you know where to go and make the choice for yourself to look for it and do that work of what do I really want to do? But I was coasting, right? I was coasting from 2005 up until about 2015 or so, just doing the work of being in support, just supporting the applications I was responsible for, which is fine. And I was making decent money, and not like huge, but I was making twice the national average for salary, and that's fine at the time. But I wasn't. I was like, and then in 2015, the support contract goes, well, another change happens. They need to reduce some costs, and they need to get rid of the expensive folks, i.e., the people who've been around, longer,
that's
and
when
say,
is
well,
this 2018, did you say?
this is 2015 or
15.
2014.
Right.
2014, I moved from support into the project world,
Right.
right? So instead of being on a fixed price contract where the utility company would pay IBM for all the resources to do all the work, I was moved on towards a billable uh, contract where IBM was paid for every hour that I worked,
Yeah.
right? IBM was paid for every hour that I worked, and I was still on salary at that point. So and that's safety. That's I had the benefits and all the stuff that you get from working for a corporate
Something
entity,
like that. Yeah.
you know, and that's cool, right? But I knew that what I was getting billed at, the utility company was paying IBM for me was 3 times my salary, right? And because because I had an advantage when I went onto this project side, I got to see what the bill rate was, and I got to see the internal cost rate, like what I would pay some other contractor to do work for IBM, like a coder or project manager or whatever. And IBM would buy services at $50 an hour for this person and charge $100 an hour to the utility company, right? So I was in that same bit. But I had a piece of information that not everybody has. So I knew that my internal cost rate, what IBM was paying, what I cost IBM was one thing, and what IBM was getting from me was that. So I figured, and what my salary was this. So I figured, hey, if I can go out in the market, I can go out at this level. Like, and this is like a
Yeah.
50% pay increase to me
Yeah.
if I can be an independent contractor. So that's the decision that I decided um, that I wanted to make in 2018. So after this big project, I knew where that was, and you know that's and so the that and that change. So anyway, so that's kind of the moving from support to project work and billable project work, and then
Something that you can like
um,
you can do yourself and get paid a lot more for.
yeah. So I could go hourly on contract with another company, like there are many staffing firms out there. I don't know what it is in the you're in the UK, yes.
Yeah.
Like what Turnberry or whatever. So a staffing firm, a temp firm that they'll pay you hourly. I could get the hourly wage that would give me basically a huge bump in pay
Yeah.
if I did that. So um yeah, and that's what I did um in 2019. And then some stuff happened. So um so we could go to the stuff that happened
Yeah. Yeah.
if you want. Uh, so in 2019, so IBM ended for me in 2018. And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna get contract work at this new rate. All right.
Yeah.
And so and towards 2018, I'm like trying to find work, and then towards the end of 2018, I think my severance is kind of dwindling. I need to get work now, right? So I go through a contract firm in January 2019. I get a gig at the bank, and it was at close to that level. So I was getting paid more than I had ever
Ever.
been paid in my life to do the work, and yeah, ever. Yeah. So I mean, at that point, 2019. Yeah, I was basically I was up at 50% more,
Yeah.
like half again what I was getting paid at IBM on an hourly rate. So, and 6 months in to this gig, I have a cancer diagnosis. So diffuse large B cell lymphoma. I get this cancer diagnosis. And
What
I'm thinking,
where was where was it? The cancer?
it started in my ankle. I kind of had some weird stuff happening with my ankle, my foot, my leg that was bugging me for a few months prior, like in January.
Yeah.
And then I finally listened to Debbie and got it checked out towards May, and then it was cancer, the lymphoma in my foot, my left foot. And I think, okay, well, what does a humane company do when one of their employees gets cancer, right? You would think, well, they provide some kind of support, maybe work. We'll support you as long as long as you can work. We're in this with you. We care for you, right? Um, so with that in mind, I tell the contracting firm I'm with and the client. So there's the bank, then there's the contracting firm that I'm dealing with. And I tell them the day after I get the diagnosis. This is like a Thursday. And then the following Monday, I get a phone call, get called into the conference room to say, well, we're not going to need your services anymore. So, okay. um, So what now? Right.
And
Um,
did it, they didn't like quote the cancer or anything. They were just like, we don't need you anymore. Like we don't need your services. There were nothing.
it was, I don't know what the truth is. The story I was told is that it was a budget decision and that they got rid of whether the last person in or what have you. I mean, maybe I was, again, I'd only been there 5 months at that point. So, I mean,
Still a long
sure.
time.
Yeah. And you think, hmm, is this really the guy that we want to, just got cancer and yeah, yeah. So it was at that moment I lost my faith in corporate America, and
Yeah,
that a corporation is that the corporate entity does not care about you in general. Maybe there's some companies out there that do. I'm sure that, but for me, you know, I think if I were with IBM, maybe they would have treated me differently. But as a contract worker, and
if you're comfortable saying it, do you know which bank was this then?
it was Bank of America.
The Bank of
Yeah,
America.
Bank of America. Mhm. And
Wow.
I do find it rather funny about the CEO of Bank of America says a lot of things in public being about caring for the earth and caring for people and all the platitudes about that. But in the organization, the way decisions are made and who makes them and how they're made, it doesn't, in an organization like that, you can say stuff at the CEO level, but 10 levels below that of the people who are, uh, yeah, the humanity doesn't trickle down that far, yeah, or it didn't for me in my experience. So that was when well, that's when I lost faith.
Yeah, I think that is disgusting. That is crazy.
Inhumane. It's
Yeah.
inhumane.
Um, like I get it, but like if you're an owner of a company, I guess a big company like Bank of America, I guess workers start to become just numbers on a screen. But like you said, it's just surely surely the highest of people would have been reading into that and known what sort of situation you as a colleague had, and for them to make that as decision is just
Yeah. I part of me doesn't even want to know
yeah,
that what that conversation was and who made that decision and because I don't know that I don't know that could necessarily contain my cool demeanor
yeah,
if I knew who said Ryan's the guy who's got to go.
yeah. True. It's got to,
Tough.
and it comes down to one guy, doesn't it? Who's like, yeah, he's the person we're getting rid of.
Yeah. And yeah. So at that moment it was like, all right, well, am I going to fight the bank or am I going to fight cancer? You
Yeah,
know, that's not a decision. It's I got to live. It's-
yeah,
so for that summer, from May until October, I got chemotherapy, lots of support from friends and family. People would visit me, and there was so many people were they donated to my care and really helped us out. You know. And then October rolls around, and I had this fall at home. I trip and fall unexpectedly in the morning, and it causes some concern to Debbie, and we call the doctor, and they get me in for some imaging to see what's going on. And as it turns out, I thought the cancer was gone on my leg. I'd already gone through 6 rounds of chemo, and my scans were pretty good. And it turns out at that point, the cancer had spread to my brain. So,
Right.
so what now? What now? Um, and so then this is October of 2019, and everyone's so nice, but by this time he's still got his brain cancer now. What So the people who had supported me, it was like, yeah, we've given you, but so that piece of support kind of fell off a little bit. So it started to it became just me and my Debbie and Bay, and Bay at that point left for Japan they got a job in Japan. So it was then just me and Debbie and um, my best friend Jer, who called me every day through the whole thing. And then October and November, and I basically I got infections. I was in the hospital, and getting chemotherapy, and or sick for November and December and part of January, um, 2020. So 2019, the last 2 months of 2019 and then 2020, I'm basically in the hospital all the time. Thanksgiving in the hospital, my birthday in the hospital. Um, so all right. And at that point and again, it's I have support, but it's it's kind of getting down to Debbie's there with me every day in the hospital.
It
We
kind of
have someone
it
taking care
gets
of
to
the
that point
cats.
where the people who are not who have not living, who are not that close to you, when they find out that you've got cancer, that kind of became a normality to them. But the people who you were closest to wouldn't accept that as a normality and just wanted to make sure you was okay and that you were what they know as normality with
Yeah.
you.
And she's gonna be with me forever,
Yeah.
so she's living it with me. And so yeah, so then I'm sick, and I lost my career. It's like my sense of identity, kind of, but that part of me, my work, and my body, my health is gone, my career is gone, my sense of joy and play. Like I didn't want to fucking thing. I'm just, doctor, just tell me what to do. I'll do it. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm not gonna like research every cancer treatment ever. No, that just wasn't me. I just checked out. And so, but I had Debbie there with me the whole day. And we had lost, you know, one of our cats died. I mean, we had 4 cats when this whole thing started. We have one now.
Oh,
So that happened too.
yeah.
Um, so that so then it's around January 2020, and the doctor says, okay, well, the treatment to get this cancer completely taken care of is a stem cell transplant. We're gonna schedule you to have your stem cells extracted, frozen, and then you can blow your immune system out with chemotherapy and then reinfuse you with the stem cells. That's the stem cell transplant. So it's of my own stem cells coming sucked out and put back into me. Um, and this is January 2020, and trying to schedule this. And while things were starting to happen in January 2020, so um, yeah, I didn't get it as stem cells the first time, so they had to do it again. So by this time, it's like February,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to go back into the hospital basically as COVID is just starting
Yeah.
to blow up the world. And now Debbie can't come to the hospital and be with me every day. So I'm going in, and this is the chemotherapy you have prior to stem cell transplant is pretty rough. And 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 I had her on the phone, thank God for video calling, but I
Thank
was
God.
alone.
Yeah. You're not, it's just different, isn't it, when they're in person?
Yeah.
But
And when she was there, we didn't talk a whole lot. I was dead to the world, but she was there. And then in in April was when I went in, because you go in for 3 weeks for stem cell transplant. So they get you in, and then they give you the chemo, and then they keep you in until your blood levels are suitable. And the interesting thing about all this, and it's in more ways than one, that day when they reinfuse you with your stem cell, the healthy stem cells, after they've done all the chemo, that's called your rebirth day. So I was reborn on April 27th, 2020. So I'm like almost 3 years old now.
yeah.
So, but yeah, so yeah, I was reborn April 2020, and around Mother's Day I come home, and 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 the world is just not the same.
Yeah.
It,
So
I'm not the same.
how long was you in the hospital then for where to the point where you was there indefinitely?
Um, the hospitalization, my last hospitalization was for the stem cell transplant in April. It was 3 weeks in between April and May 2020.
I think I've lost you, Ryan.
Pardon me?
Because
Oh,
it's
okay.
telling me it's going to end it. I'll call you. Can you hear me
Okay.
better now?
I can hear you fine. Yeah. All right. Good,
Yeah.
good.
I was asking you was in hospital
Well, I
like
was in the hospital.
indefinitely, yeah.
It wasn't indefinite. I mean, they kept me in. I went to the emergency room a few times again, November, December, and then it was for 3 weeks, a planned um, admission for 3 weeks. So that was in April. But so no, there wasn't an indefinite thing.
Computer task.
Hey, I can turn off video or something.
No, no. I think that's done it.
All right.
Sorry about this.
It is the world that we live in now.
Yeah. Just if the Wi-Fi is down, then everything's just terrible.
Oh my mind.
Oh, it wasn't indefinitely, and and you didn't feel, even though you felt it, and I guess, and then you just got out at such a weird time, didn't you? That's like middle COVID or when it definitely hit.
Nobody knew anything. Well, you can say what you want about what is not truth and known about it, but at that point, that there was full on global fear. Nobody knew anything or knew what.
How
And
drastic it
and
was.
yeah,
Nobody knew, yeah.
yeah, or have any, yeah, yeah. So So I become a shut in again. I mean, I wasn't well. So yeah. So here's the thing. Back in 2018, before I got the bank gig, I was like liberated from IBM. I was like going into the world and being just like super networking and like really I had started my own company to do professional coaching and personal coaching. I got a client. Um, I had discovered this, agile software development, and I was saying I was being this evangelist for agile software development, and I was like all over the place. And I was what they call a purple squirrel, which is like I had this set of skills and talents that were just really weird and that could be really valuable, but the folks who hire people, the folks who are the recruiters don't know how to connect purple squirrels to stuff that works. So, but be that as it may, 2018, yeah, I'm out in public and just being like super, and
Motivated,
then
yeah.
and then and even just now, I just now a couple of weeks ago had my first in-person coffee meeting with a friend of mine that I had we kind of met back in, yeah, it's been since 2018, since the last time we were in space together.
Oh wow. Would you say, are you still going for that though? Because you've come out and you, like I said, you're trying to be fully independent. Are you still feeling motivated and really networking? Are you still feeling that sort of emotions?
Oh, that was the biggest, well, not the, well, who knows the biggest transformation, but yeah, I do not ever again wish to be employed by a large company
No.
directly. No, I am,
Would you still
I,
say you're driven though? Would you
pardon?
still say you're as driven? Because I know what you mean. It's like the honeymoon phase, isn't it? When you first get out and you just want to go smash it and just network the hell out of everything and just get the most out of your day.
Well, for me, that was the thing. I never got to do that when I was, working um, the 9 to 5 kind of gig inside the company. I like to be with many different kinds of people. I like the variety and the spice and I'm a jazz musician. I like the unpredictable nature of stuff. I like improvising. So I am I'm just as happy connecting with people like you and having conversations like this. And that's like where I love to be. And so and the just now it happens to be that the the network that I have and I'm kind of cultivating now is global, which I think is super cool. I love it.
No,
So
you're 1,000,000% right. I think, yeah, I guess when you're in a big company like that, you just get your kind of to-do list and you do what you need to do for the day. And I think that's why I'm doing journalism as well, because I just want to meet interesting people like yourself and network and have my own to-do list, like you said.
yeah, yeah. How different does it feel to be to again, I don't clock in or whatnot, but to go in and then have someone else's priorities be pasted onto your life and day. I mean, to a certain extent, if you're working for clients, you have client work to do that you do the work for client, but you're choosing that. If I don't want to work for that client anymore, I just find myself another client, you know, and it's not the easiest thing in the world, and I haven't done a ton of it at this point, but at this point, and maybe I'll feel different 5 years from now. Some of my other freelancer friends tell me about that, but no, I'm good to be like a jazz musician knowledge worker. Like maybe I'll have a coaching gig, a duet, or maybe me and someone else will do a presentation to a company. We'll sell something like a trio, or a quintet, or a group of folks will be like a band that will go on tour, right? But we'll be like a band of consultants going on tour at a large organization, you know. that's what gives me life now. And that's me being who I am now. That is because what I was when I went down for cancer, I was I didn't know where I was going to go with IBM. I didn't. It was I going to eventually end up as CEO of IBM? No effing way. No, no. Or was I gonna go in the consulting practice? Did I want to work a 70 or 80-hour week as a managing director of the application support practice in this division? God, no. No. No, 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 no. I mean, I really think this is the life I was born to live now. And I wouldn't wish that ordeal of going through cancer on anyone, of course,
But there's less
but
to be learned.
there's lessons to be learned. And I changed in a lot of different ways. That the hospital experience changed me. One thing that changed was I I have I have no sense of shame now because when you're in the hospital, you're naked half the time. People are poking you half the time. You're going to the bathroom with people present. It's like the stuff that people think, oh my God, I can't go to the stall next to somebody, you know, you're relieving yourself in public. People are showering. It's like, I have no shame.
Yeah.
Nope, no shame anymore. I'm shameless. And the other thing, I realized that this moment, you and me having this impromptu conversation, just improvised, that this will never happen again in the universe ever in this way. It may be viewed or listened to by someone, but it will be different because they will be involved in it. And right now, this moment, you and me, this is what humanity is. And Chat GPT and whatever, who that that world can only deal with things that have already happened, not the surprise and the mystery of this humanity that we share.
Yeah.
So that was a light that turned on for me when I was sitting in the hospital, just like wondering, is this is I guess this is all there is, you know? And I had to be okay with,
Not knowing what's happening in the future.
yeah, and that if because there was one night in the hospital. I was laying down, my blood pressure went way low, and I had no idea if I was calling for a nurse. No one was coming. And I thought, well, if my blood pressure goes down and I expire, I'll be okay with how I lived life and how I played the game. And I loved my wife. I love my kid, love my cats, my parents. I did what I was going to do, and I'm okay with it. So that
You,
was,
you're grateful for that time. And
yeah,
I think that's the only way. Yeah. And I think myself, I'm not comparing my situation to yours. But I myself had gone through like a bit of a bit of a crap time this last couple of months, and it's nothing of on point to what you had to go through, but it
yeah.
was definitely
Oh well.
something that I'd never ever gone through ever in my life, ever. Never dealt with that emotion before. And coming through that, it has taught me a million lessons. And in a sort of way, I am grateful for it happening, even though it hurt. I am very grateful for it happening because I've kind of dealt with that sort of grief in my life now, and I'm grateful for that, even though it sucks.
Are you willing to share what that moment was,
It
or
was I've never, but obviously, I think with a grieving stage,
Yeah.
and I've never had to grieve anyone. Not, and I don't mean someone. I mean just general losing someone. I've never dealt with. I've lost grandmas and grandparents, but I wasn't particularly close with them, so they didn't. That losing them didn't change my life.
Yeah.
So losing someone that actually, which it kind of alters something in it kind of alters how you spend your days. That was the first time I've ever dealt with that emotion. So that was um which again, now that I've dealt with that, I'm actually really grateful for it. And I think I've come out a much better person with a much better perspective on life now. I tell you that one.
Mm.
And I'm completely grateful for her and the time I spent with her.
Yeah. Mm. Well, you a big event in your life for sure.
I've never I've never my first so, and
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, I'm not comparing that to you, but I just I know that I can tell that in that time you just realized, screw that. I'm 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 going to be my own security in my own life.
Yeah. The other bit may, and this is I'm still trying to find that like the right way to frame a lot of this stuff, but there was that autonomy, that making decisions. I had all my autonomy stripped away, for that whole period of time. Like that every decision that was basically happening in my life was not my own, and I'll be damned if I am not now making my own decisions.
Yeah.
And so now is that time. And the other one of the other things that came out of this disaster is that when your iPhone blows up, for example, you restore it and then you go back to exactly the way it was, right? And every little piece of it, all your software and data comes back. You know, and I kind of had a decision to say, well, am I going to, now that my life is blown away, you know, am I going to just restore back to that backup that was taken prior to my going in for cancer? Or am I going to, press that little button that says custom install? Am I going to make some different choices?
Yeah.
Now that I have this chance to do it again. So I chose the other radio button. I made some different choices this time, and we'll see how it
Yeah,
turns out.
because if you look at it, there is in life, I guess there is that easy route. Get a job that you don't particularly like, but it's just easy. You just have to turn up and do the tasks, and you've got a bit of security with money. But I guess if you take those risks, so don't you can just reap some rewards, can't it? And it doesn't have to be just money. And I know that
Yeah.
in what I'm studying, there's not a lot of money in it at all. But uh,
In journalism?
yeah, well, it can be if you're successful. I guess if this becomes a massive podcast, then I'm minted, I'm sound. But if I can get to a point where I can just at least take care of myself and I'm doing this sort of stuff, I'll be the most content man ever.
Find your own joy,
Yeah,
for sure.
1,000,000%. Yeah. Um, is there anything else you'd like to reflect on the podcast or
No, this has been great. And I'm happy to go on the ride with you and curious to see what happens next.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this was Rijon Erickson, a IT corporate, but you freelancing it now.
I'm a freelance spirit guide is what I
Yeah,
now call myself. So yeah, I'm a freelance knowledge worker.
and a true cancer survivor who's been through some hard times, but it seems like it's done him. Seems like he's done him some good independence and made you much more content with your life, which I think that is amazing. And you, I hope you have a blessed life, Ryan.
As I do for you too, Michael.
Yeah, this was Shuaige the podcast. I think episode 17. I'll have to check that. Well, so if you're new here, stick around, listen to our other episodes. Some of them and don't have to be so serious like this. Some of them are a bit silly, having a laugh. But I think for any listeners, I think that was quite educational and it was a true reflection on Ryan's time. Yeah. Thank you for listening, guys. Tune in, subscribe, follow, whatever, share it to your mates. Thanks for that, Ryan.
Thank you.